Greetings to one and all. Welcome to my channel Knowledge Share to Delete Ignorance. This channel is created to share the knowledge of known ideas to the unknown society. And today in this channel we will be discussing about biomass renewable energy sources. And I request all of you to kindly subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for future notifications in this channel. Also, if you find that this video will be useful to someone, please share this video. And now let us go into today's topic, biomass renewable energy system. The overview of presentation is about, so this biomass renewable energy system is discussed under the topic Power Electronics for Renewable Energy System subject. And so here what all we are going to discuss. So this is the overview of my entire presentation. And first we will be discussing about the main classifications of the biomass renewable energy. And then we will be discussing about the terminologies in biomass, like what is char and what is pyrolysis and what is gasification and what is a biogas plant and what is anaerobic digestion and what is a digestate and what do you mean by retention period. So all those things we will be discussing initially. Then we will be moving into the biogas production technologies. So there are basically two types. One is the floating type and fixed type, and we will be discussing about both the types. And then we will be discussing about the usable forms of biomass and its fuel properties. There are many usable forms of biomass like fuel wood, charcoal, fuel pellets, biodiesel, bioethanol, biogas and producer gas. What are the different different properties involved in all these things we'll be discussing. Then we will be moving on to the biomass resources. That is, biomass resources is mainly from forest, agricultural residues, energy crops, aquatic plants and urban waste. So urban waste, there are two types. One is the sewage, the other one is the municipal solid waste. So both we will be discussing. And then we will be moving on to biomass conversion technologies. So there are 5 types of biomass conversion technologies. The first one is urban waste to energy conversion. So again, as I said before, there are 2 types. One is the municipal solid waste, which is in short called as MSW. Then we will be discussing about the sewage plant, so which converts the liquid form of the biomass liquid into useful fuel. So that's what we will be discussing. Then we will be discussing about biomass liquefaction and gasification process, and then how this biomass can be converted to ethanol production, and finally the biogas plants also a small introduction will be given. So these are the different 5 different types of biomass conversion technologies that are available, and we will be discussing one by one later. And then we will be, after discussing the biomass conversion technologies, we will be moving on to the biomass energy programs that are present in India, and what are the different advantages and disadvantages of biomass. And also we will be discussing about, finally we will be closing this session by discussing the applications of the biomass renewable energy system. So now we will move on in detail. So initially, as I've said, so we will be discussing about the small introduction, and we will go on one by one as it is indicated in the slide. So we will be progressing in the same way. So now let's start. So as you all know that biomass is a biological material which is derived from living organisms. So that is the main thing you want to understand. So it is a biological material which is derived from the living organisms. So that is whatever things that are coming out of living organisms, that is called as biomass. Okay, so that is the output of the living organisms. Whatever output we are giving, So that is called as biomass. Okay, either it may be in the form of solid or it may be in the form of liquid or whatever may be. Okay, so living organisms in the sense it can be a plant or it can be a tree or it can be animal or human being or whatever may be. Okay, so any living organisms which is giving solid waste or liquid waste is comes under the biomass. So the energy obtained from this biomass is called as the biomass energy. And the biomass resources are classified into two groups. As I've said, okay, in introduction, it is classified into two groups. So the first one is biomass from the cultivated fields and crops and forest. So mainly it is from plants. Okay, so the first classification is the biomass from the cultivated field, crops and forest. That is mainly from plants. And the second classification is biomass from municipal waste, animal excretes, etc. So broadly it is classified into two different types. So these are two different types. And biomass is considered as a renewable energy source because it is always renewing, is it right? So it is called as renewable energy source. Okay, it comes under the renewable energy source as it is getting renewed and renewed because once we give the input to the living organisms, it should give some output. So it's, till the earth exists, the living organisms also will be existing. So it is a renewable energy source. The biomass, when it is heated in the absence of air, it will produce it will produce something called as char. So that is called as char. Okay. So biomass, when it is heated in the absence of air, it will give char. Okay. So this process is called as the pyrolysis. So that process. So this is a very important question which will be asked in biomass. So it is called as pyrolysis. So pyrolysis is nothing but when the biomass, so you understood what is biomass. So biomass, when it is heated in the absence of air, it produces char, and this process is called as the pyrolysis. Okay? And the gasification of the biomass is done to yield a clean and combustible gas. A gasifier is used for this process and is a chemical reactor. In rural areas, biogas plant is used for biomass energy generation. Biogas plant converts organic matter like cattle dung into combustible gas and organic manure by subjecting it to anaerobic fermentation. Then what do you mean by anaerobic digestion? So anaerobic digestion is a naturally occurring process in which the organic matter such as manure or other biodegradable materials are stabilized by microorganisms strictly in the absence of oxygen. So oxygen should not be used. That is called as anaerobic digestion. And during this process, some organic compounds are converted to methane and CO2 gases. So the byproducts of anaerobic digestion is nothing but methane and carbon dioxide gases. And also from the experimental results, it has been found out that this mixture of gases is called as a biogas. So whatever byproduct we are getting from the anaerobic digestion. Okay. So I hope you understood what do you mean by anaerobic digestion. That is a biogas plant converts the organic matter into the combustible gases. Okay. And this process is called as the anaerobic fermentation, and it is carried out in the absence of oxygen. That is the main thing, and that is called as the anaerobic digestion. And the output of this will be a methane or carbon dioxide gases. And from the experimental results, it has been observed that the mixture of gases, that is the biogas, will be having 75% of the methane and 25% of the carbon dioxide. And like natural gases, this biogas can also be used as fuel in power generation, IC engines, etc. The anaerobic digestion process takes place in a controlled two-phase in a controlled atmosphere. Okay, it takes place in a controlled atmosphere in a special tank. Okay, in a special tank, and these tanks are called as the anaerobic digesters. The sewage coming out from the digester is called as a digestate, and the digestate has the nutrient value and can be applied on land like a manure. The digestate has much less odor compared to stored manure. The process of digestion and gasification takes place at 35 degrees Celsius. When the temperature falls, the process of digestion is arrested. The period for which the fermentable natural materials reside inside the digester is called as retention period. So the period for which the fermentable material resides inside the digester is called as the retention period. A typical retention period will be varying from 2 days to 60 days based on the type of the digester used and the organic matter processed. The most commonly employed technologies for biogas production are fixed dome type and floating dome type. The fixed dome type are made up of stainless steel, which is expensive and needs continuous maintenance and supervision, and has a floating chamber, and hence it cannot be damaged with the pressure changes inside the chamber. In fixed dome type, the plant is made up of concrete. The volume of fixed dome type is fixed. Hence, if the gas pressure is increased, it may cause damage to the concrete dome. Currently, the biomass contributes to about 15% of the total energy consumption. So you can imagine that 15% of the total energy consumption is contributed by the biomass. So in this 40%, that is in that 15%, in that 40% is consumed in the rural areas. Mainly it is used for cooking and lighting purpose in the rural areas. So now we will discuss about what are the usable forms of biomass and its fuel properties. So as I've indicated, there are different types of usable forms of biomass. The first one is fuel wood. The fuel wood, it is having the energy density of about 16 to 20 megajoules per kilogram, and it can be converted to charcoal or producer gas. And the second one is charcoal. The charcoal is having the energy density of about 30 megajoules per kilogram. So you can see the difference between the fuel wood and charcoal. So charcoal is having 30 megajoules per kilogram, whereas fuel wood is having only 16 megajoules per kilogram. So from that itself, it is easily understood that it is very easy to transport, okay, because it occupies only less volume for the given energy. And the charcoal is obtained by means of carbonization of the wood. And it burns without any smoke. That is another one advantage. The charcoal will not produce any smoke, and also it has high carbon content, and the sulfur content is also very, very less. That's why charcoal is mostly used in industries as well as in the steam power generation. And the next one is fuel pellets. So fuel pellets is nothing but that is the crop residues such as straws, rice husk, waste woods. So all those things are solid fuels which comes under the name called as fuel pellets. And the next one is biodiesel. So the biodiesel is nothing but some of the vegetable oils in the pure form are blended with some which can be blended with the petrol or diesel and can be used in the IC engine. And biodiesel is free from sulfur, and it's also non-toxic. And as you all know that August 10th of every year is declared as International Biodiesel Day. Because during this day, Rudolf Diesel, you know that Rudolf Diesel is a big scientist, and he demonstrated an engine in which can run in the groundnut oil. So an engine which can run in the groundnut oil is invented by Rudolf Diesel, and it has been demonstrated on August 10th. So that's why this August 10th is considered even today as International Biodiesel Day. And even Jatroba and Karanj are also most promising biodiesel resources which are even used today. So, and the next one is bioethanol. So what do you mean by bioethanol? So as you all know that ethanol is nothing but C2H5OH, and bioethanol also will be an ethanol which is formed from the biomass. So that is it is a biofuel. Okay, So its boiling point is around 78 degrees Celsius, and its energy density is around 26 megajoules per kilogram. It can be derived from sugarcane, potato, starch, plants, maize, etc. Commercial ethanol is used in specially designed IC engines with about 25% less mileage compared to petrol. Blend of up to 22% of ethanol with petrol requires no engine modification and no reduction mileage. It has been observed. Brazil is the largest producer of sugarcane. It produces about 24.4 billion liters per year of ethanol, and this is really a very huge amount, and this actually is a recent thing, that is 24.4 billion liters per year of ethanol is produced from Brazil. And next comes the biogas. So organic waste from the plants and human contains enough bioenergy to produce power. Biogas is produced in the digester. Its energy density is around 23 megajoules per meter cube. Nitrogen-rich sludge is produced as a byproduct, which can be used as a manure for plants. It can be used for cooking, lighting, and heating, and as well as operating small IC engines. And 2/3 of the rural families use biogas as their primary fuel. That's what is the survey indicates. And the next one is producer gas. So what do you mean by producer? It is also used used as a synthetic gas, or it is also called as wood gas. So the crop residue, wood chips, and sugarcane waste, rice husk, coconut shells can be transformed to producer gas by a method called as gasification of the solid fuel. So this gas has 19% of carbon dioxide, 18% of hydrogen, and 1% of the methane, and 11% of carbon dioxide, and the rest will be of nitrogen. So it has energy density of about 6 megajoules per meter cube. This can be used as a fuel for IC engine and small scale power generations also it can be used. The commercial diesel engine has to be modified to a dual fuel mode engine. So limited quantity of the diesel is required to initiate the ignition. The engine once started with the diesel fuel only, and then thereafter that is the quantity of diesel can be reduced as the producer gas quantity can be increased. So about 87% of the diesel diesel replacement can be achieved by using this process. And now we will discuss about biomass resources. So what are the different biomass resources? As you all know, the first one is forest. Some energy that is trees, okay, like eucalyptus, poplar, pine, etc. are some of the main plants which are used as biomass resources in forest. And some plants also produce seeds to yield the vegetable oils on pressing. So this also serves as the biofuel. Example, jatropha, karanj, and etc. will be used for that. And these plants are hardly require little water for its cultivation, and can even survive in hot and cold climates, and it can be cultivated in most of the soil types in India. So that's the main advantage. And next is agricultural reduce. So this is the second type. Agricultural reduce, like what are the agricultural reduce? Like crop residues like straw, rice husk, coconut shell, groundnut shell, sugar cane, bagasse. These things can be gasified to produce the biogas. And the third type is energy crops. So certain plants produce raw materials for biofuels. Sugarcane is a major raw material source for the bioethanol. Similarly, sweet sorghum and sugar beet supplies raw material for ethanol production. Starch plants like Jerusalem, Artibate, and cassava grains can also be converted to ethanol. And the fourth one is aquatic plants, and some of the aquatic plants called examples are like water hyacinth, kelp, etc. are used for producing the ethanol and biogas. Then the fifth one is urban waste. So as you all know, what is urban waste? In urban, we have a lot of population, and because of which there are two types of waste. One is the solid waste, and the solid waste is called as the MSW, that is municipal solid waste. And the second one is the liquid waste, which is called as sewage. Both can be used to generate the biogas, and whatever solid waste that we are achieving, which are the byproducts of that municipal solid waste and sewage, will be can be used as a manure for plants. That is what already we have discussed. And now we will discuss about what are the different bioconversion technologies. So there are 5 types of bioconversion technologies. The first one is urban waste to energy conversion. That is, it has 2 types. One is the MSW plant, the other one is the sewage plant. And the second one is the biomass gasification, and the third one is biomass liquefaction. And biomass to ethanol production can also be done. And finally, the biogas plants, in which the biogas can be produced from the waste biomass. And the next we will be discussing about biomass energy program in India. So every year 50 million tons of solid waste and 6,000 million metric cube of liquid waste is generated per year by the urban population. Thus around 5,000 megawatts of power generation from urban waste is possible. A survey has been indicating it actually. And also large quantity of solid and liquid waste are generated from the industries like sugarcane, paper industries, pulp industries, food processing industries, agro industries, tanneries, poultries, etc. And this has been estimated that around 1,300 megawatts is possible to generate from this waste. So the potential from the agro reduce is estimated as around 16,881 megawatts. But we are at present we have only one 6 megawatt plant which is in the Chhattisgarh. The other one is 500 kilowatt biomass gasifier plant, which is in the West Bengal in Sundarban Islands. You can just go through the Google and you can just see it. So only one 6 megawatt plant of biomass plant is there, and another one is the 500 kilowatt. So in India, a lot of concentrations has to be done in the biomass area in order to extract the full potential that is available in the biomass, because it is renewable energy and it is also not causing any danger to the atmosphere, as well as the byproducts of the biomass plant will be serving as a manure to the plants. Okay. And also the order is also there is no order from the byproducts of the biomass plants. And the main advantages are biomass plants. What are the advantages and disadvantages we will discuss. So the first we will look into the advantages, then we will move on to the disadvantages. So in case of advantages, it produces only minimal environmental impact, and alcohols and other fuels from the biomass are very efficient in energy conversion, and also it is available throughout the world. That is the main advantage of this biomass. So it is available throughout the world. And some of the drawbacks are also there, like it is very expensive source, and if the biomass is implemented in very small scale, it will result in loss. Okay, so whatever because it is having some maintenance and other things, so it will result in loss. And applications. So what are the applications? So applications like there are many applications. So first one is village electrification. So I will just write it over here. So you can see that the mainly it is used, main applications are, it can be used for village electrification. The first one is it can be used for village electrification. Then also it can be used for grid connected captive plants. And finally, it also can be used for thermal applications for heat generation. That is thermal applications for application for heat generation. Okay. These are the different applications. These are the different these are the different applications, okay, of the biomass application. So we have, and finally, so this is the overview of the entire presentation. You can see that. So these are the biomass resources which we have discussed, okay, and I've given an overview of biomass, and I think this presentation will be very useful for your research related or in order to enhance your knowledge on biomass. And I'm really very thankful for you for your patient listening, and kindly subscribe to my channel, and if you really like this video, give a thumbs up, and also kindly share your friends. Thank you once again for your patient listening. Thank you.